Imagine one simple word: aliens, beings from outer space. But when that word comes out of the mouths of BTS's 7 members, the whole world takes notice. It's not just about a catchy song, not just about a beat that gets stuck in your head from intro to outro. There's something behind the lyrics of Aliens that made major media outlets abroad stop and break it down piece by piece. From music critics and entertainment journalists to the most trusted K-pop lyric analysis accounts, everyone agrees on one thing: Aliens isn't just a filler track on the album. It's a song with a message that runs far deeper than what shows on the surface. In this video, we're going to dig into exactly why Aliens, from BTS's comeback album, is trending again, what hidden meaning lies behind its lyrics, why foreign media are so drawn to covering it, and the fan theories that might just give you chills once you really think about them. Whether you're a diehard ARMY or simply a casual K-pop listener, this is a video you don't want to skip. Let's get into it. For those stopping by for the first time, welcome to this channel, where we break down music phenomena and pop culture from a different angle. Not just gossip, but context and meaning behind it all. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because there's a lot more coming on K-pop, global culture, and other viral phenomena. Alright, now let's get into the main topic. But before we dive into the lyrics, we need to understand the bigger picture first. Where exactly does Aliens come from? And why does this particular BTS comeback feel different from the rest? Here's the story. BTS officially made their comeback with an album titled Ararang, released on March 20th, 2026. The name Ararang isn't just any name. It's taken from a legendary traditional Korean folk song, a symbol of Korean identity and spirit. That title choice alone sends a strong signal that this album isn't just about catchy tunes to vibe to while lying in bed, but also about identity, cultural roots, and who BTS really is within a fiercely competitive global music industry. The album contains a total of 14 tracks, and among all of them, one track managed to capture public attention remarkably fast: Aliens. Why did this particular track stand out? Because even musically, it's different. Aliens is dominated by dense rap verses, packed with intricate Korean wordplay. This isn't a lyric you can fully grasp on a single listen. You need to really dig into every line to catch the message it's actually trying to convey. And this is where it gets interesting. Many listeners and music critics believe the lyrics of Aliens carry sharp undertones, commentary that points directly at BTS's own experiences navigating the global music industry, particularly as Asian artists having to fight their way into a Western market long dominated by a certain set of standards and tastes. Now let's break down why they chose the word aliens, beings from outer space, as the title of this song. Across many entertainment media reviews, the meaning of aliens is described as capturing the feeling of being different from others, yet turning that difference into a strength rather than a weakness. From the very start of the song, BTS refers to themselves as aliens, a symbol of an identity that isn't ordinary, as if they came from another world because of the way they think, create, and express themselves beyond the boundaries considered normal in the industry. Take a moment to really think about this. For years, BTS has been a group from South Korea that managed to break into the Western music market, something once considered nearly impossible for non-Western artists, especially ones singing largely in Korean. They stepped into an industry with standards, expectations, and rules of the game vastly different from the culture they came from. Along the way, they must have felt, at times, like outsiders, like aliens landing on a new planet, being watched, questioned, maybe even doubted. Instead of hiding that feeling, though, they embraced it. The song's central message is that uniqueness isn't something that needs to be hidden. It's something worth celebrating. That's a powerful message, especially for today's younger generation, who often feel pressured to fit in just to be accepted by those around them. It's no surprise so many listeners deeply relate to this song. Not just BTS fans, but also people who felt like the odd one out in their own environment, whether at school, at work, or even within their own creative fields. This is the part that makes the whole phenomenon even more fascinating. It's not just Korean or Asian media covering aliens. Various international outlets have zeroed in on this song from a much deeper angle, not just as a standard music review. Some music observers have interpreted one line in particular. one that broadly speaks to their presence not being meant to frighten, but to open up new perspectives, as a subtle critique of restrictions placed on creative freedom within the industry. The use of the opening one's eyes metaphor is seen as reinforcing the idea that BTS wants to invite listeners to reflect on something bigger than mere entertainment. The lyrics of Aliens also paint a picture of alien beings observing Earth from a distance, a metaphor many commentators connect to the sense of isolation felt by younger generations in today's digital age. In an era where everyone is technically connected through the internet, yet oddly enough, many feel more lonely and more misunderstood by those around them than ever, that metaphor of an alien watching from afar feels remarkably fitting and moving. These outlets highlight that BTS managed to package a deeply personal issue, identity, the struggle of being different in a global industry, into a piece of music that's still catchy and enjoyable, yet layered with meaning for anyone willing to dig deeper. That's a rare combination. A song that works both ways, as pure entertainment or as material for deep reflection. Now here's the part that makes this whole phenomenon feel a lot more grounded and less like pure speculation. RM, BTS's leader, directly confirmed during a Weverse live session that the lyrics of Aliens were intentionally crafted to spark open dialogue, not simply serve as entertainment. He added that every verse in this song was specifically designed to touch on real issues felt by Gen Z today, from social pressure to uniform standards to the feeling of not being understood by long-established structures or systems. This matters a lot, because it means the meanings that fans and critics have been discussing aren't just over-analysis. There's a clear intent from the lyricist himself behind that message. And for ARMY, this is essentially official confirmation that the theories they've built over time aren't far off from the original intent. Think about that for a second. How many popular songs out there are actually crafted with this level of intention? Most chart-topping hits today focus on a catchy hook and a beat that's fun to dance to. But Aliens manages to combine both. Music that's still enjoyable to listen to on repeat, while carrying a message with real depth once you're willing to dig further. Speaking of depth of meaning, it turns out Aliens isn't the only track packed with hidden details on the Ararang album. There's one track that left fans utterly curious, track number 29. Interestingly, this track doesn't contain any vocals or rap like a typical song. Instead, it's made up entirely of the long, resonant sound of a bell. The bell used isn't just any bell, either. It was inspired by the bell of King Songdeok, one of South Korea's most historically significant national treasures. Even more striking, the track's runtime was precisely matched to the natural decay time of the bell's sound, roughly 1 minute and 37 seconds. That's not a coincidence. It was a very deliberate choice. RM himself confirmed that including this track was meant as a tribute to Korean cultural heritage, while also serving as a thematic transition point within the album as a whole. So if you listen to the Ararang album in full, in order, you'll experience a kind of journey, from songs exploring personal identity and struggle, to a moment of pause through the echo of this historic bell, before moving into the next chapter of the album. Small details like this are exactly what make the Ararang album feel like so much more than just a collection of songs. It's a work crafted with real intention, where every element, from the lyrics, to the music, to the track order, carries its own reason and meaning. Now let's get to the most exciting part, fan theories. Because every time BTS drops a song with lyrics this layered, ARMY across the globe rushes to dissect every word, every reference, even every note choice. One of the most widely discussed theories centers on who exactly the civilians mentioned in the lyrics represent, a term many fans interpret as a depiction of the mainstream music industry, or even the general public who often judge something different from the norm without truly understanding the context. Some interpret this as commentary on the criticism BTS has received over the years, from remarks about their genre choices, their style, to creative decisions sometimes seen as too different from typical K-pop conventions. Another theory suggests that the use of the phrase 7 aliens in the lyrics directly refers to BTS's 7 members themselves, an open acknowledgement that they're well aware of being seen as different, perhaps even foreign, by certain corners of the industry or the public. But rather than hiding that different status, they've turned it into a source of pride. And here's what makes it even more exciting. Plenty of international fans who don't even speak Korean have jumped in to translate and analyze these lyrics line by line across various discussion forums and social media platforms. This kind of collective effort to understand the deepest meaning of a piece of work shows just how massive BTS's influence is on global music culture, not just as hitmakers, but as storytellers whose work is worth genuinely exploring. Zooming out for a moment, this comeback arrives at a fairly significant point in BTS's journey. After going through various phases in their career, including periods where individual members pursued solo projects and activities, this comeback with the Ararang album feels like a statement. A statement that they're returning not just as a group reuniting to meet market expectations, but as a collective of artists with a clear vision and message to share. The wave of foreign media coverage spotlighting the meaning behind Aliens also signals something bigger than mere popularity. It shows that BTS has reached a point where their music is considered worthy of serious analysis, placed on the same level as how media typically discuss the work of Western musicians long treated as the standard in the global music industry. That's a major achievement, considering how difficult the journey has historically been for Asian artists to earn that same level of recognition internationally. And ironically, that's exactly the theme at the heart of Aliens itself. The struggle of being different, and ultimately being recognized not despite that difference, but precisely because of the courage to stay true to oneself amid a world that often demands conformity. Looking at the numbers and trends, Aliens managed to capture attention across various platforms almost immediately after Ararang's release. Discussions about the song's lyrical meaning kept popping up across multiple platforms, from music discussion forums and lyric analysis threads, to reaction videos from content creators in different countries. What's interesting is that much of this discussion isn't coming solely from longtime BTS fans, but also from new listeners curious about why a single song could spark this much conversation. This proves the song's appeal isn't confined to the existing fan circle. Its universal message about identity and the courage to be yourself has managed to reach a far wider audience. This momentum has been further fueled by news surrounding other BTS members' activities leading up to the comeback, including various live streams and interviews discussing the creative process behind the album. All these elements combined into one massive momentum that continues to keep Aliens in conversation, being analyzed, and enjoyed by listeners from all walks of life. Now, let's pause from the technical analysis for a moment and speak from the heart. Why does a song like Aliens resonate so deeply with so many people, even those who aren't K-pop fans at all? Because at our core, all of us have felt, or are currently feeling, like the different one at some point in our lives. Whether it's because of a way of thinking that doesn't match most people around us, interests considered weird by our surroundings, or simply a nagging feeling of not quite fitting in wherever we currently are. That feeling is universal, and that's exactly why the alien metaphor, a being from another world, observed and seen as different, is so easy for anyone, anywhere, to relate to. The message of this song is actually simple yet powerful. Difference isn't something you need to hide or feel ashamed of. In fact, that very difference can become your greatest strength if you're brave enough to embrace it with confidence. And coming from a group as massive as BTS, who have already proven themselves capable of breaking through boundaries once thought impossible for Asian artists, that message carries even more weight and authenticity. Not just empty words of motivation, but something rooted in their own lived experience. Alright, let's recap everything we've covered today. Aliens from the Ararang album isn't just another filler track. It's a work rich with meaning about identity, difference, and the courage to remain true to yourself within an industry full of standards and expectations. Foreign media have spotlighted this song because of the depth of its lyrics, capable of elevating a personal issue into something universal, and RM himself has confirmed that the song was designed to spark dialogue and reflection, not just serve as entertainment. Combined with other unique details on the album, like the mysterious track featuring the echo of a historic bell, it's clear that Ararang is one of the most mature and meticulously crafted works BTS has ever released. For those of you who haven't listened to Aliens in full yet, I highly recommend giving it a proper listen while really taking in the lyrics. Because trust me, this isn't a song you just hear once and move past. It's one truly worth taking the time to understand. What do you think about the meaning behind Aliens? Do you agree with the theories floating around, or do you have your own interpretation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading every single one. If you enjoyed this kind of content, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more discussions about music and pop culture phenomena from around the world. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. See you in the next video.